Be careful of a man that the divine does not restrain. It can be a mark that God has rejected. If God does not exercise some form of restraint, it can be a sign that you don't bear the seal of ownership. In an attempt to steward your allocation of divine testimony, if you run with it as the total counsel of God, you'll be wrong. And that's why when Jesus came, they were unable to identify that this was the one Moses was pointing to. Because they didn't know that what Moses received from God was the allocation of a part. If you take Moses, and by Moses I mean the dispensation and the testimony of Moses, and everything that had to do with the Old Testament economy, if you run with it as the totality of what God is saying, it will obscure the Christ, who actually is the content, the substance, the essence of that which Moses' testimony contains. So he says, the letter kills. What is that death there? Is it separation from God? Because that is eternal death. Eternal death is the end of spiritual death. When a man is separated from God, he will die the death. You are not with me. He told Adam, he said, in the day you eat of this fruit, you shall surely die. Another translation says, in dying, you shall die. So what's the first and the... You know the book of Revelations chapter 20 verse 12, I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. The books were opened, another book was opened, which is... Then he said, the sea gave up the dead which were in them. Death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. He says, and this now is the second death. It means there's a first death. So the first death is that man declared independence. So he was separate. He was separate from God vitally first. That's organically. His spirit was detached from the fountain of life. Are you with me? Then that now translated to a life of independence. Because he was separate, there were certain things he could do that will go unpunished and unjudged. You are not with me. Cain succeeded in building a civilization. But every time Abraham attempted to take a step in the flesh against the covenant, God will come. Be careful of a man that the divine does not restrain. It can be a mark that God has rejected. If God does not exercise some form of restraint, it can be a sign that you don't bear the seal of ownership. Some people, we need to probe their born again experience. Jehovah's hand has never resisted you. Your journey with God has been a smooth sail. We cannot see testament of scars in your transitioning. You are a strange man. You are strange. Nobody just happens upon destiny. We saw the trajectory of Jacob. He met God at Bethel and he was not planning to meet God. He was rogue. He was rogue. He was on the run. But Jehovah met him, consistent with a covenant. A covenant that predated his ancestor. You think the covenant of Abraham started with Abraham? It's Adam God wanted to start it with.